Warning: this stream is rated for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, well, it would be the Enigma Blockbuster Cinema Theater, but currently, because we have a brand new sponsor, it is the Legion Cage AdoptAPet.com Theater. That's right, our very own Legion Cage is our sponsor for this month and a half. 6 months, maybe the next 10 years. We don't know. It's all up in the air. But in any case, Legion Cage requests that you go and check out adoptapet.com because if you potentially have room in your life for an animal, maybe a cockatoo, maybe a ball python, perhaps a piranha, but more along the lines of probably just like cats and dogs, that is the place to go because there are always pets in need and you might be able to find one that needs a forever home and you're able to take them in and yeah, Cage greatly appreciates it just like he appreciates me, and that's saying quite a bit. So in any case, welcome. My name is Scotty, also known as EVC. To my right is the beautiful Captain Cage himself. He really gives Captain Isnib a run for his money, but he's really stuck. Like, I mean, he stopped the instant he saw the title of the podcast, Arcade, and he just stuck on that arcade because he is sporting an absolutely beautiful Thurston Howell cap this evening. If you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, you really must stop by and check out Cage's fantastic hats. They are totally epically worth the subscription fee of negative $73. That's right, we pay you to listen to this shit. So thank you for joining us. Appreciate y'all. Welcome. And then our special guest for this evening is the one, the only, the man with the most fantastic beard in the world, Mad Tinkerer. Welcome. Hello, gentlemen. How are
Hello.
you this evening?
Doing well. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Yeah, you've had that beard since before you were born, right? I mean,
It's something like that, somewhere around there. Yeah.
you've been working
Mhm.
on it for quite some time. Mine is I don't know if you can see it in the dark light today, but mine is kind of like if you took a Brillo pad and you painted it like a burnt musk orange type deal, and your goal was to try to like repel women. That's the kind of beard I've been working on for quite some time. And Cage has got the debonair salt and pepper thing going on there. That I mean, it plays very well, Mister Howell, off of your hat. And yeah, all right. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. So we're gonna get right into it. Let's head on over to our main playthrough screen as Man Tinkerer presents Red Dead Redemption. Now, I want to tell you right off the bat that my experience with Red Dead Redemption is not the first game. You may have heard me mention a couple of times, I'm kind of a fan of Markiplier on YouTube, and my first experience with this storyline was Markiplier doing a long playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2. So I never saw or knew anything about um, the first game until, I mean, obviously if he was playing Red Dead Redemption 2, that's probably, like something that came after number 1, but I didn't know anything about the game. So I was very fascinated by his playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2, the not only the graphics, the storyline, absolutely love the storyline. Um, and in particular, I think it's Dutch is his name. Uh, that that keeps on getting the main character in trouble because I have a plan. Um,
Yeah. I mean, they were plans. You got to
yeah,
give that to him. Yeah.
yeah, he did have
Not a good
plans.
plan, but it was a plan. Yeah.
um, in any case, yeah, I was just enthralled by the story, and I absolutely love that Markiplier, who doesn't always do stuff like that. In fact, most of the time he doesn't. Decided to do a long playthrough that ended up being like, I don't know, 20 or 25 2-hour videos long, and posting that. So I got to see a really good portion of Red Dead Redemption 2's story, including when he gets to the end of it. And spoiler alert here, if you haven't played these, he gets to the end of it, and we find out that that's actually a prequel, and it's a beginning to the first one. So Red Dead Redemption 2 ends right where Red Dead Redemption 1 begins. And that was also fascinating from a storyline perspective. Um, but yeah, Red Dead Redemption 1, let's see here. I just had my information. They just came out on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2010. Those were the only two ports. And Cage, why don't you tell us a little bit about what was happening at that time?
All right. So yeah, to be more precise, it was Tuesday, May 18th, 2010. I know where I was, and I was working at a game store selling this game like crazy. Um, if you were cruising around, you might have been listening to such songs as Eminem's "Not Afraid," Usher's "OMG," Muse's "Uprising," or Alicia Keys' "Unthinkable." Speaking of Unthinkable, you may have been watching that in the theater with Samuel L. Jackson and Carrie Ann Moss. Or if you hate sharks or shark movies, you may have gone and see The Reef instead. You may have been doing those kind of things. Tina Fey was celebrating her 40th birthday at that time, and George Strait was celebrating his 58th birthday. But the birthday that was important is Red Dead Redemption. So this game came out, and it is, I'll get to the actual thing. It is still regarded as one of the highest rated games on Metacritic. This game came out and got a 10 out of 10 from Edge, 8 out of 10 from Eurogamer, 9.75 out of 10 from Game Informer, 5 out of 5 from GamePro, 9.5 out of 10 from GameSpot, 9.7 out of 10 from IGN. It's got a 95 out of 100 Metacritic score, which is pretty insane for most games, especially in the modern age. The game went on to sell over 5 million copies in the first 3 weeks of release, making it the fifth best-selling game of 2010, even if it was regarded as the best game, and sold over 8 million units by February of 2011. So over 8 million units in the first year. The game was nominated for countless awards. I think on the page that I was looking at for information, it was nominated for over 30 various awards from multiple different sources, ranging from Game of the Year to Action Game of the Year, Best Characters Design, Best Gameplay, Art Design, Acting, all these. Some of the big awards it did win, it won Game of the Year from Spike TV Video Game Awards, which was at the time kind of like the biggest mainstream show. It's now known as just the Video Game Awards. But it won Game of the Year. It also won Best Original Score from Spike, Best DLC for the Undead Nightmare DLC. It won Action Game of the Year from the Interactive Achievement Awards, and it won Game of the Year from Game Developers Choice Awards as well. So not only was it nominated for a ton of different things, it won them. It sold like crazy. It was highly regarded and is still to this day regarded as one of the best games out there.
Indeed. Now, in your research, did you come across anything on how it compared between Red Dead Redemption 1 and number 2?
I did not see anything like that during my exact research as far as how they compared to each other. I can find out for you real quick. I know Red Dead Redemption 2, it was regarded like as one of the most anticipated games, period, around the time it came out. And more specifically, one of the, if not probably the highest like sought after sequel of pretty much any game out there. To compare, Red Dead Redemption 2 actually has a higher Metacritic score of 97 out of 100.
Whoa.
It got perfect 10s from EGM, Edge, and Game Informer, as well as 5 out of 5 stars from like Games Radar and Giant Bomb. To be more specific, as far as that came out 7.5 years later on October 26, 2018.
And what was the Metacritic score? For
97 out of 100. Oh, for one, 95 out of 100.
Okay, so just 2 points higher, but yeah, if it's not only a highly anticipated sequel, but a highly anticipated game all around, that speaks volumes to what the storyline did to the people that were out there, played the first one and had said, holy shit, I got to buy the second one.
Yeah, and that it lived up to those expectations.
Yeah,
Because you think about how many times have you, whether it's a game, a book, movie, whatever, that has a follow up, right? That has a follow up, and you're excited for it. Think about any of those times that you've had that. Does that follow up then not only meet your expectations you have of it, exceed
right.
that expectation?
Yeah, or maybe also along the lines of how many times do you feel that the sequel matches the greatness of the original or exceeds it?
Mhm.
That's also not very often, especially in like movies and things like that. So, All right. So just some quick description on this. Red Dead Redemption is a free roaming Western game. You couldn't tell by the guy with the bullet sashing. um, I am just now starting to explore open world sandbox games. And I was mentioning to a few other people today, or in the last couple of days. I found a game on Steam for free that's called Creativerse, and it's very similar to Minecraft, except it's free. And it also works on my crappy laptop because I haven't replaced that for a better PC to play some of these games at my house. Um, and it it really, in my opinion, is excellent for the cost. There obviously there's a few drawbacks to it, but it really does it justice. And from my personal perspective, trying to explore an open world sandbox type game, there's just so very much that they put into these worlds. I mean, you got to imagine that a game developer, every single aspect of that open world is designed. It doesn't, they're not pulling from this or that. Maybe they're copying some elements from previous games or something like that. But just how huge the open world is in Red Dead Redemption and in the second one, and then basing a storyline around all of that, not only the main quests that you go through, but the all of the side quests and the little thing, like in Red Dead Redemption 2, learning how to fish, and making that a part of the storyline, a side part that you can explore, and all of the things that come into it. They have put so much into these kinds of games, and we're also talking about, this is 12 years ago now. Red Dead Redemption came out. How 12 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, how much time and energy and thought was put into just how vast and explorable these open world games are. And that just kind of blew me away. I mean, I obviously I'm looking at it from a newbie perspective, and I'm just starting to see what that kind of thing entails. But it really is amazing to me, how much thought and energy was put into that. So the other aspect of Red Dead Redemption and the sequel is there's also the shooting aspect to it, and obviously there's interaction with other NPCs, characters, stuff like that. Um, but the shooting aspect of it is combining in uh, things that are prevalent to and well known and loved for games that are more well known for being a shooter, like Borderlands or Halo, or yeah, even uh, I can't think of the other one. It just escaped to my brain. But combining that with open world, and now this in this Western setting, how many boxes did that check for people over the years, that they go, oh, it's a Western, oh, it's an open world, oh, it's a shooter too, uh, just riding the horse, jumping from the horse onto the moving train, and all these other things that come into play in the best Western stories that are out there. And I got to imagine that there's a lot of people out there that's why it appealed to them so very much, is because of just how many boxes it checked, um, and how many different things you could do in there to satisfy your gaming itch. So I'm gonna quit yakking on that. We're gonna come back for the first part of the playthrough that Tinkerer has provided for us, where he captured Red Dead Redemption 1, and we're gonna start talking about like the actual gameplay and the elements, and why it's so meaningful to our guest who is presenting this today. We're gonna take a short commercial break and then come right back for that. Stay tuned. right. So now we're gonna be watching the first part of the playthrough that Tinker has provided us here. So were you playing this on your PlayStation 3 or your Xbox 360?
I'm actually playing this on Papa Doom's
Ah,
PlayStation 3. So I got to give a little shout out there to Papa Doom for letting me borrow his console to get this played through.
Doom!
And so I do have it on 360 is what I originally played it on. And quite frankly, I ended up bricking two 360s. This wasn't the only game that put that kind of stress on it, but uh, I definitely red ringed one of them playing this.
Really?
Yep.
Is it just because the game was that intense for the console?
Both that as well as it was a, an old used 360 that I started with.
Gotcha.
So it was, a buddy at work is trying to get rid of it, and I had just played this game over at my buddy's place, and I knew I had to get a copy of it.
Yeah.
And that sent me down the rabbit hole right there. And yeah, had a horse ran away from one of the people there and took off way out here in the middle of nowhere. And I tried to get it, and that just didn't work out. And that was one of the things that intrigued me right out of the gate about this when I first started playing it was the random encounters. Nothing felt forced. You rarely saw them coming. Like just by the timing of the game, you knew, okay, I'm probably due for something. But it has a wide selection of, probably at least maybe a half dozen different things that might take place, and any one of those will present themselves. And so we just saw me hop down and pick some herbs and then see doing a little hunting here. And these are two aspects that, again, what I was playing before I really started getting into this was the Lego games. That was, on my short list of another franchise that I would have talked about today was the Lego games.
Mm-hmm.
And just the all of those little things that you have to do if you want to 100% it.
Right.
And tracking down all of the herbs, tracking down because what happens in this game, and if anyone does end up starting this from scratch, first off, shoot a bird out of the air. Second off, look for those little white flowers, and third, shoot a coyote. And what all three of those will do is it opens up a naturalist tree, it opens up a sharpshooter tree,
Okay.
and hunting, I think, is the third one. And you have to do those before you even know that that's available. And then all of a sudden, oh, well, shoot down 5 birds.
Right.
And it's just a way to get those extra little XP along the way. Why not? You need the pieces, parts anyhow. And it's those little goals that it sets for you in the midst of gameplay that just really helped round the game out for me.
And I suppose you could also probably take a lot of different approaches to how you want to play and complete the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only, playing it like what are the technical terms for that? Where you're either playing as a bad guy and killing everybody, or a good guy and you're trying to kill only minimal amount of people.
I typically go with like either a face or a heel.
Yeah.
And
There
you can totally go either way with this game. And with this, quite frankly, it's been so long since I've played all the way through this game that I can't really tell you how much of an influence that has in the rest of the game. But in Red Dead 2, you can definitely see you have that little meter at the bottom, your morality meter, and it makes a definitely an influence on how people interact with you. And for me, I came out of playing Legos, and then all of a sudden here's this game. um, I had watched Papa Doom play several of the Grand Theft Autos, and I loved the engine. I loved watching him play, how the mechanics of it worked. Just the scenario was too real for me. It's like this stuff's happening like right now down the street. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something I really want to play with. And this, it's removed enough and romantic enough with history that, I can have fun with this.
Right. Now it's supposed to be set in 1911, and you're taking control of the main character, John Marston, who's an outlaw forced to turn on his peers when federal agents are threatening his family. And then he is sent to the American frontier to capture the former gang members, especially Bill Williamson. So from there, can you expand on the storyline and where it goes in the first one, and tie in, if you would? Did you play Red Dead Redemption 2 as well?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you would tie in for us how that was a prequel that then leads into this storyline.
Yeah, with with both of these games, this was the reason that I stepped away from my PS2 and got a 360. Red Dead 2 was the reason I bought a PS4. These games like drove me buying new consoles, like getting into that next generation of video gaming. And with this one, where we're at so far, in our playthrough in the background, the feds want you to bring in Bill Williamson, and right away, I don't know what guy was thinking. He just goes up and tries to draw on 3 outlaws that have the high ground on him. It doesn't go well for him. And so Bonnie McFarlane is one of the first. Here's one of the random scenarios that you come across. There'll be hangings. Some guy will come running up to you that, hey, my brother's getting hanged. Can you help? And unfortunately, the victim, I didn't shoot the rope soon enough, so the guy died. But one of the, to compare the Red Dead 2 to Red Dead, one of the most important differences is the heads-up display. Red Dead 2, they really bring it around. Your enemies show up as red dots. Sound off to the side shows up as a blip. So you can look on your map and see where things are at. On this, good luck. You can hear the sound of gunshots around you, but unless you have headphones or, in my setup, I have a hard time differentiating the direction it's coming from. Right. And so then all of a sudden I'm running right up and I don't know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. And we'll encounter this later in this playthrough.
Question here for you.
Sure.
Did you just loot the guy who got hung?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I mean, you can't take it with you. So somebody better get some use out of it, right?
Oh, I didn't save your ass. Sorry about that. Oh, thanks for the money. Bye.
Yeah, So, I mean, is he going to use it, in all fairness?
No.
Doubt it, yeah.
Can't spend money in the underworld.
And so, with this story, Miss Bonnie McFarlane comes and saves you from getting shot by Billy Williamson, nurses you back to health, and then that's where the it has a built-in tutorial. Like the first probably 4 or 5 missions of the game is nothing but tutorial missions teaching you how to do things.
Right.
And some of it gets a little long in the tooth about like how many cattle do I really need to help wrangle here. You know, you just want to get to the good stuff, but it's fun. Like it's not just typical run up and shoot them. You know, you got to be careful on who you are shooting. You know, who
Well,
is the good guy, who is the bad guy.
Well, and not only that, but you also have to make decisions on how the storyline goes too. Not only whether or not you're, playing for honor or fame in the morality system, but how you want the scenario to play out too. Like, isn't there? Yeah, maybe I'm just thinking in Red Dead Redemption 2, but aren't there a few scenarios where, based off of what you do, it can go one way or the other?
Especially in 2, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that's almost a choose your own adventure aspect there.
yep, for sure. And you know, I typically play the face. Just I find it easier. I enjoy that more. You know, playing the heel, I end up feeling like a jerk. And it's like it's bits. Like who cares? It's just bits on a screen. But like I care. I don't want to make these guys' lives any harder.
So you would never do an all-out heel playthrough.
It would be rare. Yeah. Occasionally I'll have a moment and just, but typically I won't save it. I'll go back to my last save point and start from there.
There you go.
It's like the proverbial there's memes about like the Elder Scrolls games most predominantly where like you walk past an NPC and they say something mildly rude to you, and then like you save it and then you go kill them to like exact your revenge, and then you just reload your game so that way you don't have the bounty or the guards chasing you or anything like that.
Yep.
You know, just good to get that rage out.
Yep. And this is one game in particular where like to actively put some saves in there, because you do have an autosave, which great, wonderful, but if that autosave just catches it right after something you didn't want to happen, it's nice to have that good solid hard save.
Right, yeah.
And that in this game is controlled by sleeping. You know, getting to one of your residents, taking a nap, and that gives you the opportunity to put a saved game down.
Oh, so you can't just anytime you wish fling open the menu and press save?
Nope. You gotta some places there's a couple of properties actually on this run through here today. We end up buying one of the properties because this is really early in the game, just past getting those initial tutorial missions done. This is where the game starts to open up. You're getting that broader list of characters, and Mr. Nigel West Dickens here is one that we end up going through several missions with this guy. He's a snake oil salesman, and we got to do what we can to stay on his good side. But the time that it takes place, I was actually surprised when I first started playing this with, you mentioned the 1911, and I thought for sure it was going to be older in history, but you start out in an automobile, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, whoa, hey, this is newer than I thought. But there again, like you mentioned, you're picking up this story 7/8 of the way through it.
Right.
The other, you have this Red Dead 2 is such an epic game leading up into what this would end up being the final chapter of. And like I hadn't replayed this since going through Red Dead 2, and I had picked it up maybe one other time, probably 2015, 2016, something like that. And I wasn't ready to play back through it again. And so I'm very happy with this playthrough of it. So enjoyable, and the length of the game. Um, if someone knows for sure, there's a site, how long to beat, something like that. And so it tells you how long does it take to, on average, beat video games.
Yeah.
And this ends up being around 18 or 19 hours just for the core story. So that's a pretty short playthrough just for the core story. Ends up turning into probably a 40, 50, 60-hour game if you do all of the side missions and for completionist. But on Red
Yeah, that's also dependent on actually being good at it too. Like mine, it would probably take a couple of years. Um,
Well,
I wanted to ask you on that note. So, would you recommend that somebody who wants to play the series and hasn't yet, should they start with two, seeing as how it is a prequel and ends with the beginning of one? So would you have suggest to somebody to play two and then one, or do it the way they came out, play one and then find out that two is a prequel and you're now going back in the timeline to fill in everything that came before it?
question. It depends on the gamer. Like, if they are story driven and don't care about mechanics, then for sure do Red Dead 2 and then go right into Red Dead 1 and figure out the differences in between. But if you're one that after you drive that Porsche, hopping back into your Ford isn't gonna feel as good. And like Red Dead 2 is such a clean, awesome, well-playing game that to hop into this, it's like it feels clunky. It does. But if you start here, um, then it's a trade-off because in this game you have so much less upkeep. It's you just get straight to business, and like to skin things is boom, you're done, back on your horse and going. On Red Dead 2, you have the choice of, well, do you skin it or do you take the entire carcass? Who do you send the carcass to? Who do it's
Yeah.
all of these other little things that you have to decide, a lot more upkeep. And so personally, I would recommend playing them as they came out. So go ahead and play this one first. Uh, it's going to spoil some aspects of Red Dead 2 just because, oh, hey, that guy lived.
Right.
But
And then you personally, knowing what you know about the series, if you
mhm.
wanted to do a storyline playthrough, would you be more apt to start with two and then go back to one?
uh, Probably not. Like,
Okay.
knowing what I know about the series, like this one, it has the same characters, it has similar story elements to it, but it's not crucial to know the differences.
Gotcha.
For me, I would rather, get this one, for lack of a better term, out of the way. I mean, it's awesome. I love this game, obviously, but once you delve into Red Dead 2, you're there for a while, like a long while. The just to play through the core story without any of the extras, at least 60 hours. You're looking probably closer to 80 to 100 hours if you even want to start getting some of those side missions and the other things done. And so, just to kind of get this under your belt, and then you can land in Red Dead 2 and stay there as long as you want. What kept us in Red Dead 1 was the online aspect of it, the multiplayer aspect of it.
Oh, okay.
And that's what ended up making, like, accelerated this to that top of the list of probably, right as one of my favorite games. Because, again, I was torn between this, something from the Lego franchise, or Zelda, A Link to the Past. That's another one that I spent many, many, many hours in. But, what A Link to the Past did not have was that social aspect. And we had a group of probably 4 or 5 guys playing this all at the same time, and it was, regular basis. Hey, so and so's on. Let's run out, posse up, and get into some trouble. And with the 360 having, on the controller where you could just plug the mic right into it, and all of your audio's going right over the Xbox network, it made cooperative play so much easier than it had ever been for me before. Because in the real world, I do IT tech, and I hate trying to fix my own stuff. Like, I just want my stuff to work.
Yeah.
I'm tired of fixing it during the day.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And so with the 360, where it was just like, oh, I'm chatting with my friends, it works, and we're playing. Awesome. And just so much fun.
You don't got to think a lot about it and how to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they call that, Cage? Plug and play. I've heard that term thrown around on a lot of different things, but I mean, really, and we talked about this on the last podcast about game and console creators being able to adjust to the times, change, and be flexible so that their business survives. And I think really that's one of the biggest aspects of it is people don't want to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out why their game won't work. They just want to plug and play. And yes, there's probably more complexities and advanced settings and things like that they might want to play around with and explore the options to be able to get the best gameplay experience for them. But most people don't, and maybe that says something about society in general. But anytime I see stuff like this, tech issues galore, it really detracts from the gameplay experience. So it really kind of behooves these companies that are trying to create and sell a good gameplay experience to make it so that those tech issues don't happen in the first place. It's just plug and play. You as opposed to taking, you've got 2 hours to play a game with your friends that are halfway across the world, and you're taking up 20 minutes of that just trying to connect. No, that's not what people want, and rightly so. If they can avoid all that just by having a system that is ready to go like that from the get-go, and they don't have to spend the time trying to solve tech issues, they're going to be that much happier with the product. And I got to imagine that's like at least a partial goal of some of these companies to produce that kind of good gameplay experience where you're not fighting with tech issues all the time just to get it to do what you want it to do, But the main aspect of like what you were talking about there, plugging in and playing with your friends over the Xbox 360, that reminded me of one of our previous guests, Joho, who was talking about playing Borderlands, and he mentioned LAN parties, where you were connecting up a couple of consoles with a LAN cable,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the basics of this. You know, same thing with long download times or internet connectivity or any of these things that would detract from that and make it more difficult. Time you're spending just trying to get the game to work, and I got to imagine that having that really added to it for you.
For sure. And one of the other aspects about this game in general was the mini games that are incorporated into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this has it has poker and uh, liar's dice and horseshoes are three of the games you can find scattered around. And we would have sessions just going in and sitting around the poker table and playing there for a couple of hours. Just, we don't need to, posse up and run around and shoot. No, we'll just play some cards for a while. Like the mechanics
Right.
of how the cards play. It's awesome just to sit around and, hang out with your buddies.
Yeah, absolutely. So, not to kind of take away from what you were talking about as far as like playing online with like this game, um, going back to something you had mentioned previous, like this game was a game that made you get the 360. It made you advance the generation from your PlayStation 2, and then Red Dead 2 was one that made you pick up the PS4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask, because there is the black sheep of the Red Dead family that was on PlayStation 2, Red Dead Revolver. Was that a game that you were playing on PlayStation 2 and that convinced you to buy Red Dead Redemption when it came out on the 360?
No, it was years later that I ended up going back and playing Red Dead Revolver. And it's a totally different game. There might be, some of the characters might have similar names. I don't even know from that aspect. But there's from what I recall of it, it's not story driven. It's going out and, dueling, and that's about all there was to it from what I recall. And I didn't spend a bunch of time on it because it's not this open world beautiful game. And
Oh, no, go ahead.
uh, so it just didn't it's one of those types of games where it's just like, well, now you're up against Mad Bart and shoot them, and then you go on to the next one. Now it's Whiskey Pete and you're shooting them, and yes, there was skill involved in everything, but it didn't have an enthralling story. Both of these games, they're very well written, not just from a in general, it's well written, but it's Rockstar. They're going to push those boundaries. They're going to, bring up some of those issues that other people's not going to mess with. And so, you deal with Native Americans, you deal with uh, immigrants, and they they give a fair perspective, not just that singular one view of the world.
Yeah, I got to imagine that that's part of the reason why it's had such great success is because of Rockstar's willingness to push the boundaries. Uh, you hear a lot about like movie directors, um, politicians, anybody really that's pushes societal boundaries, and sometimes they're looked on in a negative light. But in general, that's kind of what the public wants, I think, and especially story-driven things like movies and novels, comic books, video games, and that's something that I think really appeals to a lot of people is where the developer or the writers or any of the people that are contributing to this are really pushing the boundaries of what you might consider quote unquote normal or how should I say couth. You know, if you're
Yeah.
able to push a boundary on a storyline, it's probably all that much more appealing to those people that want that sort of thing.
Yeah, and kind of the way you described, like talking about Red Dead Revolver versus Redemption, like this game flowed, right? From the way you kind of made it sound, like it kept you going into it, as each piece kind of unfolded. Whereas the way it sounded like Revolver did, it was just kind of like, here you go, this is the next part. This is the next part. We didn't really like tie anything in, but this is the next part. Here you go, next part. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, from what I recall of Revolver, because there again, it wasn't one I spent much time on. I didn't know it existed, prior to, I just stepped knee deep straight into this one. I was like, oh, here I am. And yeah, the other from the old one, with the Red Dead Revolver, I didn't know, quite frankly, much about Rockstar outside of um, just watching the Grand Theft Autos over Doom's shoulder. That was the
Mm-hmm.
only other games I knew outside of that.
I mean, Grand Theft Auto obviously being their biggest series
Mm-hmm.
overall. Um, it just it's you're not. I can tell you, you're definitely not alone. If you asked anyone who is playing Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Like if we're on Twitch right now, we're live on Twitch right now. If we did a search, people playing Red Dead Redemption 2 online, if we asked them, do they even play Red Dead Redemption 1, we're going to get a lot of no's. You know, if we ask them, did they play Red Dead Revolver? Oh, there was a third Red Dead game? Cool. Where can I get that? I would be willing to bet you a lot of people would know. I looked it up before I even had brought up the question, because I don't like Red Dead Revolver. I don't remember it being a big, and it wasn't. It was very poorly reviewed, like very poorly reviewed. It's crazy to see like a game, you know, go from the Metacritic that Revolver was to where Red Dead Redemption and then Redemption 2 ended up being, and they kind of, it shows that they put that kind of like love and care, I guess, into, they really want this series to work as a whole, and they want it to become something bigger. And I guess that kind of ties into a question from the live audience right now. Short and Sweet 8402 wants to know, and having played Red Dead Redemption 2, maybe the thing that you would add to Red Dead Redemption 1 was something they added to 2, like a quality of life improvement. But what, if anything, would you add to the game if you could?
Definitely the improved heads up display. Like the between both that and you have what's called Deadeye in this game, or Eagle. Well, I think technically Eagle Vision is that's Assassin's Creed, isn't it? But
believe so,
similar
yeah.
concept, where time slows down and you can see where people are at. You can
Oh.
see where animals have been. You like they leave a little stink trail behind them, and so that's in Red Dead 2. It makes it so much better, like for hunting. It's like you go to this busy place, you see animals scatter, you use your Deadeye, and you can pick out, oh, this is the rabbit's trail.
Yeah,
Follow the rabbit.
yeah, I remember seeing that in Markiplier's playthrough.
And so
And
that's something I've really missed in this game. I was, because I did, again, I didn't remember how much, what did they have.
mhm.
And this, it will slow down when you go to shoot. Um, it's only when you're shooting that you can use it.
Okay, we just came to the end of the first part of uh, Tinker's playthrough here. So we're gonna take a short commercial break and then come back and stay tuned because I'm gonna steal Cage's job for a couple of seconds. 1 second. All right. So now we're back for the second part of the playthrough, and I gave Cage a heart attack because this is like his bread and butter. This job for which I pay him like I don't know something.
Exorbitant amounts
Yeah,
of money.
so exorbitant. I feel I have to like take out multiple loans just to cover the bill, and but I was going to steal his job for 1 second because I started going through a list of games made by Rockstar. And I'm going through the list, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we've got Grand Theft Auto and all the various editions of that. I didn't realize there was a Grand Theft Auto for Game Boy way back in 1999, and all the various iterations of that. They've got their Max Payne series. I was going to ask Tinker, have you played any of the Max Payne stuff?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
That's actually, I was going to make a comment when we were still on the first part there, that that Deadeye system is where it slows down like while you're shooting
Mhm.
is very similar to bullet time in Max Payne, and that's
Oh, okay.
honestly, I would imagine, exactly where they took the idea from.
Yeah. And then I came to the came out in October of 2010, Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, and I'm like, what is this? And I hovered over it and I saw that it is a basically turning people in the game into zombies and adding a Halloween aspect to the game. And that was a question from Doom in our live chat. What were your feelings on the Undead add-on of the first one? And are you ever gonna stream that?
First off, we loved it. It was such a because we were big zombie fans. Walking Dead was huge
Mm-hmm.
at the time and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and we just ate it up. Like we could not put that one down. Um, and yes, I I'm thinking I might save that one for more. Come October, we'll play through that.
Okay.
Hopefully by that point I have done the full playthrough of the main storyline. I do want to complete the main storyline first, but yeah, that would be an excellent one come October.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to let me know because I did not know that was a thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I am greatly interested in seeing that. That looks fantastic. So yeah, if you're just joining us, we're talking about Red Dead Redemption One, the first game that came out in 2010, and they added on. Is that a DLC?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
DLC through the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3, Undead Nightmare, where you're basically turning several of the characters into zombies, and it adds a non-canonical zombie horror themed single-player campaign to multiplayer modes and cosmetic additions to the environments and characters. That sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, it actually, that was when I was talking about the awards that it had won.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption had actually won Best DLC from Spike TV's Video Game Awards for Undead Nightmare. And much how we talked about back in Joho's episode with Borderlands and the Tiny Tina's what was Assault on Dragon's Keep DLC.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Oh my goodness. That
Yeah,
was so
the
fun.
Undead Nightmare is considered to be one of the best DLC add-ons in a game of all time.
That's amazing. And now we'll round out the discussion of the storyline by I was looking at there was some false rumors and false leaks of a Red Dead Redemption 3 earlier this year, and it started, getting people a buzz on that, and it turned out to be completely false. Nothing was in the works yet. In fact, they're saying that nuts. They're saying that a Red Dead Redemption 3 is probably not to be expected from Rockstar until 2026. Which, I mean, it was 8 years between the first and the second one. So yeah, that kind of makes sense that they're putting 8 years worth of work into making something that's maybe even more epic.
Well, and even to that point, as someone who again worked for a gaming company, um, Red Dead Redemption 2 was supposed to have come out like 3 years prior to its actual release. Like they had pushed it back that many times. So like if they're sitting here saying that they don't expect it until 2026, I would bank on it being 2026. I mean, they've been talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 now for like 6 years as Grand Theft Auto 5 enters its 10th year and third generation of console that it's on.
Yeah.
Um, it, like I can't imagine that they'll, as great a game as beloved a game as the Red Dead series is, I would imagine their flagship franchise is going to be much more on their priority list. Uh, and honestly, this game, they will make sure they take the time to perfect it before it comes out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
with both of those, when you look at both the Grand Theft and Red Dead, both having like a very solid MMO sort of online aspect of them, they're still making money on that every day. And with Red Dead Online, it might be slow coming, but they do continue to add new content to it. Is it enough to keep people around for the next 6 years or 4 to 6 years?
let's
Who
see here.
knows? We'll see.
Grand Theft Auto 6 confirmed in development, and that was back in February 4th of this year that they confirmed that. And then Max Payne, which is I think they've got two of those already, and then remakes of those original two are on the way. That was released on April 6th.
I think they
Um,
have 3 Max Paynes actually. Now that I
all
think
three.
about it, I think I could be wrong on that.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, three. So that's
Hmm.
just going to be remakes of the original ones that they have because the last one, three, came out in 2012. Um, and then the only other series that they have that stood out to me is L.A. Noir, which there's a couple of games in that series that looks really good. It's a 2011 detective action adventure
And that
set in
I,
1947 in L.A.
it's a fun game. Just don't expect the same level as the Grand Theft
Yeah.
and Red Dead on the open
You're a
world.
cop. You have to behave like a cop.
Aw, that sucks.
it there's less open world to it. It is more of a follow here. Let's pop you on this track and just drive you right through the game. And it's a fun game. I really enjoyed playing it because I do love that the 40s noir detective. The art direction on it is superb. They did a great job with it. But if you're expecting this large huge open world, it's not there.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
Scotty, I think you kind of like led us into another question that was dropped into the chat there a while ago, with there being so many franchises in the Rockstar games, and maybe not even necessarily just Rockstar in general, but Tinker, you were talking about level of detail in the Redemption series being on its own level, especially when it comes to like wildlife. Would you like to see similar detail make its way into another franchise? And if so, which one sticks out to you that you would like to see that in? That was from Tuba Spawn.
Yeah, I can't think of like I read the question when it came up, and I can't really think of what game that I would like to see, especially when it comes to wildlife, because especially in Red Dead 2, they nailed it like across the board. It has such a menagerie of animals all throughout the entire continent, and it works because you are a hunter and you do use these supplies. And from that aspect, I really enjoyed it. Because, just as a little side note, like a lot of the things that, of course, it's simplified tremendously, but when you look at the recipes that they give you in Red Dead 2, that's an actual recipe. Like, you take these two substances and they would have a similar effect. So, when it comes to, I mentioned this in the stream when I was doing Red Dead Online for doing small game animal arrows. You take an arrow and you replace the end of it with like a 12 gauge, just a blunted shell, and it's a little thumper arrow. And it doesn't pierce the skin, it takes out squirrels, bunny rabbits, that sort of thing. And that's exactly the supplies you need to make these arrows in the game. So it's like, I like that level of detail that they work into it. That said, I typically don't like that level of detail can get, you know, if I just want to sit down and play the game. Like there were points in Red Dead 2, like how much detail do they need to incorporate in this? How much do I need to pay attention to? And uh, you know, oh, they found that limit and they stuck just behind it. Like I didn't feel overwhelmed, where it could get overwhelming if working that level of detail into other games. And I don't know, what do you guys think? You know, is there a game that you could think of that you would like to see that level of detail incorporated into?
Cage, you answered that first.
I'm thrown off. I don't think I've ever had a guest ask us a question.
What the hell? This,
um,
this isn't working.
I honestly, I'm not sure. Like, sometimes with certain things, less is more. I think, I've honestly never played either of the Red Dead Redemption games. I've always thought they were cool, but I do have an issue with like open world sandbox games, and I get very distracted very easily, and then
Look,
I
a
get
squirrel.
bored with exactly. It's kind of funny. This stems from Tuba's question because I was actually discussing this with Tuba recently, like with Horizon Zero Dawn. I think the game is absolutely beautiful and an absolute masterpiece, but it's open world, and I got sidetracked doing other things, and then I never completed the game because I got bored with it doing the side quests, and then I never went back to the main story.
Hmm.
So, um, to a certain extent, I mean, for me, I would probably say no. I don't necessarily think a level of detail that intense needs to be put into it. Um, I guess if you made me choose a game series, maybe the WWE games. I'm a big wrestling fan, and that would be about the only place where I'd find an insane amount of detail to be acceptable.
Well, yeah, see, now I'm still kind of stuck on this list of Rockstar games, and I'm looking through. Okay, so and almost all of them are nitty gritty, dirty, like we were saying earlier, pushing the limits of what's acceptable in society. I mean, Grand Theft Auto by itself, how many mothers that were worried about the psychological impact on their children said, "No, you're not going to play this game," um, and how many times that popped up on the radar of like people that just are so worried about they probably also thought that rock and roll back in the 50s was devil music and was gonna turn all of the kids listening to it into devil worshippers. But I if Rockstar as a company has been putting out all of these games, I'd say they're doing a damn great job of doing that. You know, really pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable and getting so many kudos because of it. I mean, what'd you say, 99 or 98 Metacritic score for Red Dead Redemption 2? So I'm
97.
yeah, I'm looking at this and this list of games here. Okay, so we got Grand Theft Auto, we've got the Red Dead Redemption series, the ones that came before that. We've got Smuggler's Run, we've got Max Payne, State of Emergency. They even made a game based on the movie The Italian Job. Midnight Club, Manhunt, and The Warriors. And then you ask me, is there a game that I would really like that kind of level of detail in? And I come to 2006, Rockstar Games presents Table Tennis. Yeah.
Don't let that name fool you. Like
You
that
could,
game was.
you could probably smash on the paddle and just cause the little ball to go straight up your opponent's nose or something. Blood gushing everywhere. Oh yeah. No, I thought that was hilarious going through this whole list, all these nitty gritty games, and then table tennis. Woohoo! On the Wii, no less. So you had to probably use that controller to actually move your body. Whoever thought that was a good idea, moving your body to play a game?
People who. No, I got nothing.
Yeah, sorry. That's all right.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So now, I mean, as far as that goes, a game that I wish there was more detail to. I don't think I got anything for that. Really, I mean, the games that I'm into, I'm pretty happy with the games as they are. Games like this, I would rather watch a long playthrough and just watch the storyline as it unfolds while somebody else is actually doing the game mechanics. Especially, yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 with as much detail was put into that story. And if Rockstar ever does come out with a Red Dead Redemption 3, same thing. I will be keenly watching for anybody that's going to do a long playthrough of that so that I can see the whole storyline. But aside from that, the level of detail, I think, really speaks to how much a game developer cares about their product. You said it was the late 3 years, Red Dead Redemption 2. So
I believe from the initial announcement, or like announced date to actual release date, yes, somewhere around like 2 to 3 years.
So that means that Rockstar decided it was in their best interest to put out as high a quality product as they possibly could, even at the cost of potentially losing some sales because they kept delaying and pushing back it down. Unless that was maybe part of their marketing strategy, I don't know. But they wanted it perfect before they put it out, as perfect as could be. And I'd say they probably succeeded with Red Dead.
I mean, definitely rating wise, absolutely. Sales wise,
Yeah. So kudos on them for just doing what they felt they wanted to do with the game before releasing it, just to get it perfect.
mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's switch gears a little bit now, and let's talk more about the nostalgic and memory aspects of this game. You had mentioned before that you were, playing with a group of your friends with the multiplayer aspect of Red Dead Redemption and the ability to not only just plug and play your headset so you can all talk in game, but the aspects of just getting together with your friends to be able to do that multiplayer game in a game that you all loved, and how easy that was, and how satisfying it was. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about like the memories that you have surrounding Red Dead Redemption, and why it holds such a big nostalgic factor for you now, 12 years later.
Again, it was all in all some of the best multiplayer gaming that I've ever done. Like up until that point, we had to be in the same room to really get the same level of enjoyment out of a multiplayer game. Like it had to be on the same screen, shared, sharing the screen, or like a LAN party where you can just like yell at your buddy across the way. And that first time of like, oh, like this is a grown-up game. I'm a grown-up now. And enjoying it with buddies from, and quite frank, I believe everyone was pretty much here in Ohio. We could have got together and done something, but we wouldn't. There's no way that we would have. And to have your own full screen while your buddy's right there with you, it was that next level of gameplay for me. That there were other things, obviously you had multiple MMOs and stuff out by that point that other people with TeamSpeak or whatever were totally doing the same thing for years before that. I just had never got around to it. And it was at that point in my life where, like, quite frankly, I needed those friends in my life. I was, uh, you know, with anxiety and depression, it can be so hard to leave the house, let alone have fun with someone. And it totally just removed that pressure of, I don't have to leave now. They don't see me, it doesn't matter if I'm wearing the same clothes that I was wearing 2 days ago, and that's kind of where I was. And to have that fun with buddies, and
Excuse me, are you Seth?
there was
I'm a friend of Mr. West.
hey,
My name is Marshall.
just to be able to get
John
right
Marston.
to it. We had a mission, we had something to do that
I need your help,
completely was not my real life
Seth.
at the time.
Me and Mr. West.
And that just made a world of difference. Just that escapism for that little bit while making memories. And when you're talking about the undead, there again, when that came out, we just there's one. Well, it's actually right here. Mr. Seth, the character that we're watching on the playthrough, he has a pretty big portion in the undead, believe it or not. The grave robber.
Who did this to you?
But
Who'd have thunk it?
right, this area right here around the church in the multiplayer aspect is one of the areas where you get wave after wave of zombies, and it's just who can last the longest.
And what map's that?
And when you die, you end up looking over the shoulder of one of your posse that's still in the fight, and man, oh man, just hooting and hollering and keep on, like get, move over to the right. You're already gone, but you're still right there in the fight, cheering them on. And yeah, it was some of the most exhilarating gaming, and it's all in this one little cemetery. Nothing past this, but boy, oh boy, did it get the heart racing. It was some fun gaming.
See, now you're touching on something that I have heard described in many different ways from almost all of our guests over the last 6 months, and that is not only escapism, but using video games as a form of relaxation, as a form of anxiety control, as depression control, an outlet to be able to check yourself so that you don't go insane, you don't go postal, and you don't kill yourself. And that to me, it doesn't matter if it is a bloody and violent game. It doesn't matter if it's themes that go against your religion. It doesn't matter if it's this or that. If that is what is keeping you sane after dealing with the things that are going on in the real world and keeping you alive, I'm all for it. You know, that's why, even though it can be destructive, I've always been a big supporter of people using vices to keep themselves in check. You know, keep themselves alive, be it even alcohol or to some extent drugs. For me, it's been food. I mean, you can tell where I got my svelte figure from. It was from, you know, eating lots of fast food, but that's also kept me alive for big portions of it. And to hear you talk about this game in that kind of a tone, just like Joe, who was talking about Borderlands 2 in the same tone, uh, you know, and Doom talking about Black Tiger in the same tone, that is very powerful to me to hear that just one video game among thousands and thousands of video games that are out there had such a great impact on you to help you battle depression and anxiety. And to me, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, and the shared experience. It's you know, I'm a huge proponent for shared experiences. When you can make that connection with someone, and like I said, it's my buddy Scotty, my other Scotty,
Yeah.
that is the one that I spent so many hours in this game with, and you know, 10 years later, and we can still hoot and holler about that one time, you know, hopping up on the outhouse to get away from the zombies. And, you know, do we recollect all of the aspects of it verbatim? No, of course not. You know, we each have those little segments, but it was just that shared experience with a good friend that in decades from now we'll still look back and say, you know, did we accomplish anything great thing in the world? No. Did we survive that night by hanging out and having a good time? Yes, we did.
Yeah. And those are the memories that people's lives are built on. This is probably going to forever be near and dear to you because of that. So let me ask you one more quick question, then we're going to hand it over to Cage for a couple more here. Um,
Sure.
is there a spot when you hit it in this game that it instantly triggers a memory for you, and every time you hit that spot in the game, you think of that thing that it reminds you of?
Uh, well, with this, and I know a couple of you were there when I did this. It was right previous to where we picked up here, and that is the horse taming. My goodness. That was the hardest part of this game, and it was the most frustrating, and it had nothing to do with the game. I mean, you know, obviously it it's a mechanic of the game and everything, but it's just like, why do I have to do this? Just let me skip it. Just, but it was, you know, that is from everything in this game that will stand out. It will always be that one point. And once you get past that point, the rest of the game is a breeze. But yeah, it just this was probably one of the very first-person shooters that I could actively play, because I'm not a good first-person shooter. Like I cannot, like when I'm using joysticks, the little fudging right in the middle to get it precisely on some. I'm a NES player. It's all the way this way, all the way that way, and that does not make for precise aiming. And so, like, the targeting in this game was what made a first-person shooter approachable for me, something I could enjoy playing without, because like to even play Doom or um, Wolfenstein, some of those, the early first-person shooters, it was tough. Like it got to the point where it was more frustrating than enjoyable, and this was that first game that swapped that for me.
All right, Cade, you got a few more questions in chat?
Yeah. So our very own Coptimus Crime says that they really enjoy Red Dead 2 online. So like Red Dead Redemption 2's online mode, which obviously was more fleshed out than just kind of like playing with your friends via Red Dead Redemption 1. First, I'll answer the first half of the question here because they want to know if the game was banned anywhere for its content because it's very violent and graphic. To answer your question, Optimus, the game was actually not banned anywhere for its violence or like the graphicness of that. Red Dead Redemption 2 online was actually banned in multiple countries due to being able to play poker with your friends or random people across the internet. And since you could purchase in-game currency with real life money, it was considered a form of gambling.
Oh boy!
And got that got removed in many countries as a thing of unsolicited gambling. So yeah, not for the violence or graphic content, for gambling, banned. Um, and I apologize because again, I have never played Red Dead Redemption 1, 2 online, whatever. So I'm not sure exactly where this happens in the grand scheme of things, and I'm hoping Tinker, but talking about the violent and graphic content, Cop wants to know what were your takes on ripping a bird's heart out?
It's a blast. Yeah. I mean, what better way can you spend a Saturday night ripping out the hearts of birds? Come on.
Okay, why are we ripping out hearts of birds? Let's dive into this a little bit because I'm curious
That's
now.
that's Rockstar pushing those boundaries.
One thing, like, another difference between the two games, in this one, I don't think throughout more of this playthrough we're going to see it. But when you harvest animals, parts from an animal, it drops down and it looks up at you, and blood splatters on the screen, and that's it. It's a quick cha, and you're off. In Red Dead 2, they really like extended that out. So you're cutting the hide off and flipping the hide over and flipping the animal and keep cutting it. And that gets a little old for me. That is one part of Red Dead 2 that gets a little old.
So you're saying that so you're starting off by skinning an animal and then harvesting like its materials, we'll call it, and it's actually like showing you
materials,
like the
Dead
entire
carcass.
act of it.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so, like, when you do a wolf, you get the wolf skin, you get big game meat, and you get a wolf heart, and so it's like you get those multiple parts. But yeah, it shows you like cutting the hide off the side and flipping the hide over, and yeah, it's.
Remember when we were talking in the last podcast about immersive game experience. See, because if you know, what happens if you play that in VR now, and you
Oh
get
boy.
that burned into your retinas?
Selemu has it right. It's a bit
Yeah.
visceral.
Visceral
Just a bit.
indeed. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
And,
Any other outstanding questions, Cage?
One actually just came in from Selemu. Um, I know from experience with Grand Theft Auto, right? Which, a lot of people call Red Dead Redemption Grand Theft Horse because it's similar in a lot of ways to Grand Theft Auto, just in olden times and horses, not vehicles. So, and I know they will do it in Grand Theft Auto, but someone you wants to know: will the AI steal your horse during a fight or mission or anything of that nature in Red Dead Redemption?
in Red Dead 2, one player. In Red Dead 1, I don't think at all they will. Red Dead 2, single player, no. Uh, Red Dead Online, it's not the AI, but you really got to watch out for other people. They will totally steal your horse if they can. And for
Okay,
no other reason, just to mess with you.
and that's fair.
But,
And like I said, I knew that in Grand Theft Auto, yeah, I mean like it's not incredibly common because most of the bystanders uh, are wimpy people.
mm-hmm.
And you'll have that person in Grand Theft Auto. Like if you yank them out of their car, most of them will just like run away screaming and all that kind of stuff. But there'll be those few that will get back up, and if you don't drive away, they'll try to pull you back out of the car and beat your ass, like for trying to take their car. And I have seen it where, like, there's been times where I would like be sitting in a car and just like stopped because I'm looking something up online or I responded to a text message or something, and just like some random AI will come over and pull me out of the car and try to take my car. To which I of course respond by popping a bullet in their face, but
Yeah,
hey, whatever.
whatever it takes, right?
Exactly.
Nobody steals Tinker's horse.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, that needs to be said in the tone of nobody puts baby in the corner either. All right. Well, yeah, that's the end of the playthrough. So we're going to go ahead and close out here. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This is the Arcade Nostalgia Memories Podcast, Season 1, Episode 11, which means we have one more episode in the season. That's going to be Episode 12. It's going to be in 3 weeks. I believe it is on Sunday, May 15th. Not quite locked in yet, but just check a schedule on the website, which is ebc2021.com. And the schedule will be correct probably at least a week out, if not 2 weeks, for when exactly that will be. Should be about the same time, like 5 o'clock or so on Sunday, May 15th, for our last episode of the season. And I also want to mention before we let you go here, if I've done everything that I'm supposed to be doing and want to do here, this is going to be releasing for the audio only version of the podcast that you can find anywhere podcasts are found tomorrow. So today is Sunday, April 24th. Tomorrow, on the 25th, Monday, I'm going to be putting this on the audio version of the podcast. And that's going to give you exactly 6 days to prepare for our next audio drama at Enigma Blockbuster Cinema Theaters. The fourth audio drama that we have produced, and these are our major productions. So we spend a lot more time on this than anything else, putting together an original story with sound effects and dialogue. We hire voice actors for it, including my esteemed colleague here, Captain Cage, who is playing a small role in the next one. He's probably going to be playing a larger role in one not too distant in the future, and he had a large role in the second one we did back in December. Um, but I just call on members of our community here to be voice actors in this, and we have so much fun putting it together. But if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, I really want to encourage you to stop by, even just for a short period of time, to listen to the audio drama that's coming out here on Sunday, May 1st, and that's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be on my channel, which is twitch.tv/EBC2021. If you get a chance, stop by for it. It's going to be a phenomenal story for you. We have a lot of people that have worked hard to put this together, and would really appreciate you stopping by for it. Again, that is Sunday, May 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for our next audio drama that is titled Realms Unknown: The Butterfly Decision. And we hope you will be greatly entertained by this. So please stop on by if you get a chance, and we appreciate you greatly for doing that. So once again, my name is Scotty, EBC, my co-host Legion Cage, and our guest this evening is Man Tinkerer, and I want to tell you where you can find him at, which is twitch.tv/MAD_TINKER_13. Yeah, tack a 13 on the end there. And that is his Twitch channel. He does a lot of great streams, not only gaming, like he's been recently playing the Red Dead Redemption again in preparation for this podcast, but he also does Batman Arkham Asylum. Is it Rhaegar or Rhaegar? What's the original ending?
Rygar.
Rygar.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Rygar.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't think of the Y in the middle of it. And several other games, but like just recently he did a stream on restoring a cast iron pan. Phenomenal streams from this man, this beautiful bearded wonder over here. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate being here.
And just check him out on Twitch and everything else related to our channel, EBC. Again, you can go to the website, www.ebc2021.com. That's got our full schedule there, all the information related to everything we do. And yeah, that's everything we have for you. So once again, I'm Scotty with the Arcade Nostalgia Memories podcast, my co-host Cage. Thank you for joining us. See ya. Adios. Good night. All right, for everybody here on Twitch that joined us live, thank you so much for joining us. How are you all this evening? I haven't had a chance to interact with you much, aside from in the chat. The production end of these takes a little bit of my attention, and I can't always interact with chat the way I want to, so appreciate you coming out.
That's why you pay me.
Yes, exactly. You know what? In fact, Cage, for the final episode, I'm going to give you a raise. Again.
Ooh. Hell yeah.
Let's see. We'll give you a 69% raise for the final episode, I think.
Nice.
Yes, and 69% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on over here to coming attractions on the EBC channel. Let's see what we got coming up tomorrow. If you've never seen Faust, this is not the movie to see. It's it's a.
This is not the version you want.
No, these are not the droids you are looking for. This version of Faust is pretty comical. It was made in 1926, so it's one of the first versions that was made for like big screen as we know it. And if you're familiar with public domains, it's a time period of 95 years, and actually that was changed not too long ago. I think it was in 1976 or 1977, something like that. Congress altered the laws pertaining to public domain, and I think it went from 75 years at that point to 95 years, which meant there was a 20-year gap and that just recently ended, starting with 1926. So anything pre 1926 and before that is now in public domain according to U.S. law. So this one popped in there, and I've watched it. It's somewhat entertaining. It's not. I mean, it's not horrendous, but it's like if you want the story of Faust, this probably isn't going to be the best movie to give that to you. It's not bad though. So if you get a chance, stop on by. That's going to be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It is a silent movie, so it's just music and dialogue cards popping up. But there's also some comedy to be had in there. Times when they didn't intend that to be funny, but it came out being funny anyway, just because of the cinematography or bad acting or whatever. But yeah, check it out. That's Faust, and we're also gonna discuss a little bit of the storyline, what Faust is all about, in the margins between the segments of the movie tomorrow. So check it out tomorrow at 7 p.m. here on EBC 2021. Then this Saturday, you want to stop by Short and Sweet's channel because she's going to be eating several habanero peppers, maybe a ghost pepper. I was promised a spicy stream. I want it, and I want it now.
Well, I'll try, but I mean, I guess she's doing a blind taste testing, so
Yeah, that's
I
perfect.
could probably just sneak some peppers in there, and she wouldn't really have a choice.
Like
until
a fool,
they're
she's
actually already
trusting
in her
you to
mouth.
like put things in her mouth that are not detrimental to her mental well-being. But anyway, no, yeah, starting at noon, 12 p.m. Oh, see, she's just now getting that audio. 12 noon on Short and Sweet's channel. It's her 1 year anniversary, 12-hour stream. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. All those things happening on the right side of the screen, I'm not going to list it because I'm a douchebag. But you can read. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you could probably pop in and pop out several times throughout the day and still catch something fantastic on her channel. So stop by anytime. It's a 12-hour stream. Lots of things going on. I'm you could even like it's a Saturday, so nobody's working except for me, and you've got no excuse. So you should go on down there and check out what Short and Sweet's doing for her 1 year anniversary stream, and you will be thoroughly entertained. Otherwise, you will get a refund, and that also is going to have a 69% increase because the there's no money in that either. So good luck with that shit. All right, so yeah, 12-hour stream this Saturday. Don't miss it. Short and Sweet 8402. Followed the next day by that thing that I was just yakking about to the people on the audio version. Realms Unknown, the Butterfly Decision, of which Cage has a part. Cage, Joel and I were going over your dialogue that you gave us. And I want to thank you for that. That was fantastic, especially the part at the end that is, you know what, I'm going to mention it here for the simple fact that this did not and will never, ever make it into the final cut. And that is Cage, who plays a police officer in this audio drama, reveals, as Slate would say, Cage, who plays a police officer, including at the end of the dialogue he sent me where I asked him to ad lib, saying, "You're going downtown."
I tried to think of what would for the period of time, which I won't reveal. I was trying to think of what a cop would say to someone.
That wasn't it.
Whatever.
But I appreciate you, man. That was great. Good for a laugh, if nothing else. So yeah, you're not gonna want to miss it, man. This has turned out to be such a fantastic project. I'm so proud of everything that our fine voice actors have contributed to this. All of them: Steph Babies, Angle Doom, Sleight of Game, Legion Cage, The Joho, and Watch Whitney. It's a great story. So hopefully you'll be there. Bring somebody with you. We've got plenty of seats in the theater, the Legion Cage AdoptAPet.com theater. So many seats available, and so like we're making buckets of popcorn for this Sunday. Uh, so many buckets of popcorn, so little butter. We do have a little bit of that like cheddar seasoning and the ranch seasoning, but only enough for like my popcorn and Tinker's popcorn, and that's about it. Doom. Sorry, you're gonna have to get the you're gonna have to get the seasoning that tastes like you're playing Rygar over there. Whatever seasoning that the official Rygar seasoning for popcorn put out by Orville Redenbacher. Yeah, so check it out. The trailer is out. It's in the Discords. I'm not gonna play it again, but guess what? Guess what? I got another trailer coming out tomorrow. So watch for that. Watch for that. I might even play it on my stream. You never know. And short and sweet, it might also be playing a few of those trailers on Saturday too, if you check it out. All right, so that's coming up Sunday, May 1st, 8 p.m. The next day, Monday, May 2nd, we are locked in now. I don't want to say new series. It's been rattling around in the back of my head for quite some time. Doing interviews with people because I find that even the most quote unquote common people in this world are in many ways extraordinary. So the people that I'm going to be interviewing, which is just going to be your everyday average normal people, we're going to explore how some of those people can also be extraordinary. So our first one is locked in Monday, May 2nd. Instead of public domain movie night, we're going to be doing the special time, 9 p.m. And you'll find out why when we do that. Our guest is, you may know him, you may not know him. He is the Big Zang Theory, who is a mod in Sky First Channel. And there's a specific reason why I chose him as the first person as well. But check it out. That's going to be 9 p.m. on Monday, May 2nd. We're just going to have a nice, relaxed conversation with the Big Zang Theory. And yeah, it's going to be fun. And we're going to do a couple more of those throughout the rest of the year. And then, this is the first time I'm revealing this, I'm going to have my 40th birthday charity stream. That's going to benefit Ukrainian refugees through direct relief. Saturday starting at 1:30 p.m. And we have some special guests who, well, you'll just have to tune in to find out who they are. And it's going to be great fun. We're going to play some games. And we'll have some special content as well that I'm not going to reveal yet. I'll reveal that, what that special content is going to be during the charity stream when we do the Realms Unknown on Sunday. I'll make an announcement then. We're going to have some special content during the charity stream on Saturday, May 7th. So yeah, check it out. It's going to be fun. At least that's what I hope it will be. And yeah.
Are you going to have an over-the-hill birthday cake?
I might pick up a cupcake and throw it over a hill, but I don't think it's going to be more what you got in mind. I don't know. But I mean, if you were any kind of friend, you'd get one of those giant cakes with a tinkerer to pop out.
Hey.
Have a bikini on, so I could stroke that, the beard. And you can
Yeah, thank you for adding the beard to that end of that
sentence.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, at the very least, Doom. how many times is Doom to pop out of a birthday cake in his life? 30,000. You know, he it's second nature to him. You know, Doom
Pretty
is the birthday cake boy. So,
Really, Cat?
yeah. Uh-oh, not the pussy. Oh, God. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Yeah, pretty kitty. Okay, that's enough of that shit. What are you doing? You know, you people, you just come over here to my channel and you just, you know, random bullshit and you're entertained, or at least you act entertained. It's craziness over here. And for some reason you like it. I don't know what the hell is going on. Anyway, let's find somebody to raid real quick. People, things, Twitch, games, Mad Tinker's beard. Let's see here. Who do we got? Let's do Tuba since he just got started. The eminent Glockenspiel Goose is upon us, and we'll go say hi. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, because I'm not going to do that shit. He's not going to do that shit. Tinker sure as hell ain't going to do that shit, man. Oh, okay. Ooh. All right. Thank you all. See ya. Adios. Bye-bye.